here for the draft day NBA edition pod, back with Peter and special guest Adam at Xbox, at Adam at
Hey,
Xbox.
so
Contractually obligated to say the at Adam at Xbox handle at least 15 times during this recording. So I think we're at 3.
Yeah, got it right.
Wait, what was
There
it
you
again?
go.
what?
At Adam at Xbox.
There you go. All right, cool.
Yeah.
But
2 ats, a little unwieldy.
yeah, and spelled differently. One's a single symbol.
Can I ask a question before we start? Why is Adam the special guest and I'm just some guy? Is there a reason for that?
You're not, as in hierarchy of specialness, Adam is more special just because of rarity. So that's the way
Yes.
that works out.
So I need to like decline some invitations.
Basically,
You have to
you're-
make yourself less available, you know? That's
like
Yeah,
on the gemstone scale, Peter, you're a ruby, for obvious reasons, and I'm a diamond.
One of the complaints I get is that I make myself too available to my friends. So I'll work on it. I'm gonna dial that back.
That's one of my worst qualities.
Yeah, your guys are right. So anyway,
Yeah.
let's
That's funny. That's what I list as my worst quality when I was applying for jobs. Last time I was doing that out of college, I think.
I
Worst
care
quality.
too much.
Yeah, I care. I'm way too available. I care too much. If anything, I work too hard.
yes, exactly.
Like
So-
Michael Scott's list of negatives about himself.
Yeah. So at least to make you feel better, Peter, I was very excited to talk to Adam about the top story of today, which was the number 2 overall pick. But we are going to give a pause to Adam's opinions right now and talk about the actually most important thing, biggest story of the day. And I want to hear Peter's opinion on this. That's who I want to hear about this. And that is the breaking news around 2:30 today. Russell Westbrook, LA native, former UCLA Bruin, coming home to the Los Angeles Lakers, traded when we thought it was going to be Buddy Hield for the last week or so. Out of nowhere, kind of, Russell Westbrook comes in. I need to know what you're thinking, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to process it. I'm a slow processor, as we all know. And what I've settled on is that what I've settled on.
Got biggest eye roll I've ever had, bro.
I'm slow. You guys know I'm slow. What I've settled on is this. I think this trade will be remembered as the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope trade. I think that summarizes how I feel about it.
Oh,
Pretty
wow.
well. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't see it. I watch more Wizards basketball than anyone else. In fact, last time we were doing this, I was giving a really impassioned Wizard speech when my internet cut out. And I just I don't see the fit between LeBron, AD, and Westbrook when you have 3 guys that are like mediocre to bad shooters and not enough space. And if AD's not going to play center, then you probably have a 4th guy that can't shoot at a high clip. So I was more excited about the Buddy Hield deal. And maybe they'll get someone that will blow me away, that will make this all make sense. But as it stands right now, I'd rather have the current team that we had last year than.
Yeah, it makes me happy to hear you say that, Peter, because I know we talked about Westbrook a lot when we were doing our NBA wins pool, which I ended up winning, by the way. Side note, but right, we talked about because I was not a big supporter, of Westbrook. I've never been a big supporter of Westbrook, really. Like I think he's overrated in like so many areas of his. Like everyone always points to all the other aspects of his game, but the fact is, it's like he's typically shrunken in like big moments, and also his shot is just terrible, and it becomes such a liability like for the rest of the team. And then he becomes more turnover prone because he's trying to create more, like, and he's trying to fight out of like his quicksand, or he's trying to do more than he's capable of, and it just like causes like a downward spiral, at least from my experience of watching him, like at least on the Rockets for the one season. And so I quickly turned on him like shortly after he even started playing for the Rockets, and I was just like, there's no way this can work, just because it's like when the shot isn't falling, like defenses just totally just change their schemes around him. They just ignore him really, like, like from like mid range out to the 3-point line. They just let him shoot, and like I would love to see his field goal percentage because I'm pretty sure it's garbage like in that area. So I am really concerned for the Lakers actually because you guys gave up a lot of decent talent to get him, and I'm with you. I don't know how this is gonna work out. Like, it's crazy to me that this is now like the third offseason in a row that Westbrook has been traded, for a lot of assets like each way. And it boggles my mind that the teams are still willing to do this and take this bet on him when clearly he's not like fitting in anywhere at the moment.
I know, Chris, you probably just want to chop at the bit, but I just want to make it clear that I don't agree with Adam.
just like I didn't agree during the wins pool, right?
What do you disagree with?
I don't want to. This isn't it's not like I don't like Russell Westbrook. I think he's a good player. I think he's actually an outstanding player. I just don't think he fits on this team. Like, when you look at what we needed, it was shooting.
He hasn't fit anywhere. He hasn't fit in anywhere, though.
I thought he was totally fine first of all, I thought he was good on OKC for many years, and I thought he was good on the Wizards last year. I mean, they had a bad roster.
He was okay on OKC before his field goal percentage started dropping like significantly.
I think last year I watched a lot of games with him and Beal. I think they were a good team. I'm actually surprised that the Wizards wanted to move on from that because I thought that was a good pair, and they just didn't have anyone around him to like. I mean, they were playing Ish Smith and Daniel Gafford. I mean,
but you know what that tells me?
Was not a good team.
But you know what that tells me is that Beal wanted him gone. That he told his front office that he wanted him gone. Because then, to your point, why would they trade him then? And also now all of a sudden, Beal is showing how he's not interested in being traded anymore. Like, he wants to stick around. Like, those are the reports coming out today.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of any of that, but I think.
I mean, it's a logical conclusion, right? You must agree.
It's an interpretation of what's happening. I would say another interpretation is Westbrook wanted out. He wanted to come to LA, and the Lakers wanted him, so they made it happen. And they figured they were pretty much the same position, and they wanted to get more flexibility in a draft pick.
Both could be true, by the way. Both of those situations could be true.
Could be, yes.
Oh, all right, so let me jump in here and
jump in.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in. So I'm gonna go start this off by saying I have always been a Westbrook fan, right?
Yes.
Outside of everything, I've been a fan of. I just like the way the guy's intensity of the game, how intense he takes game, is how I like to play as well, right? So it's probably not that intense, but like that's like how I like to think I would like to play the game if I was an NBA player, right?
If you were in shape,
Yeah, exactly. If I had his level of ridiculous athleticism, that's the ferociousness I would want to take to the game. Quickly to answer Adam's one little thinking about Beal and Westbrook, I think that's completely off. I don't think he necessarily wanted him on the team. Didn't want him off the team. I don't think he had a huge thing. I think what Beal wants to see is them, just the team getting better. What I'm sure with Westbrook, they could have done that somehow, but what they're doing, and I can see because they're taking in 36 million and giving up 45 million. So they're getting about $10 million in salary cap relief. So that's number one, I think, first and foremost.
And Harrell's expiring too.
And Harrell's expiring, and Kuzma's a young piece, right? More on the timeline of Bradley Beal. And he's proven that, in a starting role, a bigger role, he can be, 17, 18 point scorer, third, fourth option on the team. So there's a lot of like movement forward that you can have. So you can show Bradley Beal that you have that available. So I think that was the idea as far as moving Westbrook. Plus, I agree, Westbrook, I think, wanted to go somewhere else. I think Westbrook, for the most part, you say it's crazy that he's been on 3 different teams last 3 years, which is hilarious to me, looking back in it, because 3 years ago, Westbrook's contract was considered untradeable, and it's been traded about 3 times in 3 years, which is ridiculous. But what I think is Westbrook just wanted, even each pass location from OKC, and it hasn't been fulfilled yet. The same thing has happened. He's just wanted to go to a place where he could win. He thought he was going to have that in Houston, and he probably would have stayed in Houston if James Harden didn't want him traded.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then he was only traded because Harden wanted him traded. So he didn't demand the trade to. So this was kind of a stopping point on his route to finally getting back to a team where he thinks he can win, which is the Lakers.
I should probably call out. I don't think Harden wanted him traded. I think he just told Westbrook, "Hey, I'm getting the fuck out of here." Like, heads up.
Well,
I
don't think that. I think he wanted him traded, and I think James Harden, hadn't made up. I'm sure he was leaning towards wanting out of there, but I think he hadn't made up his mind. So he said, I'm sure Houston came to him and said, "How can we keep you?" He said, "Trade Russell Westbrook," and then he decided, "I still want to leave." Is what I think. This is off topic. I can't deal with your James Harden Stockholm syndrome so much. So
I compare it more. It's like a DV relationship.
Yeah. So, but either way, regardless, let's not turn this into a James Harden podcast.
You're the one who brought him up.
You did bring him up.
I did bring him up, but it was just.
Yeah, but you can't once you open
That's
that
true.
door.
It was a Pandora's box. I'll take the blame for that. But going back on topic, back to the main point, the fit, right? The fit and what Peter, you're saying, I completely understand that point of view. Shooting was the number one problem for the Lakers last year. Westbrook is not a shooter, right? I feel like if you can bring in a player at the talent level of Russell Westbrook, which you just said, you think he's an awesome player, you can build around that, right? Now, you're probably going to play LeBron a little bit less. You're probably going to play more staggered minutes, Westbrook and LeBron. I think a lineup of Westbrook, Davis, and shooters out there as like a secondary lineup will run through the league.
Who are those shooters though? Who are those shooters going to be?
It's a work in progress, and right now I'm trusting. I think Rob Pelinka had done absolutely nothing to dissuade confidence that he could build a solid team around LeBron Davis. Even last year, I think they had a solid team. There's just injuries that just didn't work. It just wasn't their year, right? The toll from the shortened off season, the toll from of kind of fluke injury on LeBron when someone dives at his legs. It just wasn't their year. It wasn't going to come back from that. I think the team itself was built well, right? There was a few mistakes, and maybe Harrell, I think, was not a key drink, but making other moves were, I think, pretty good. I think Gasol ultimately was a good move. I think the midseason deal on Drummond was a good move. They just didn't have enough time to bring him in. Fact, just to replace Harrell, I think it was a good move. Essentially, it was an upgrade on the Harrell mistake, right? So Pelinka
All right, Adam, what do you think about this? What do you think about these Laker rationalizations?
Yeah, I feel like we're having the same conversation we did a couple of months ago, because it's like I think you guys are just. I mean, Peter, you're taking a more like level-headed approach to the move than Chris is. Because my thing is it doesn't make sense to me, because the most consistent place on the floor that Westbrook can score from is like right under the basket. Right, like that's the most consistent place where he can score from is like driving hard at the basket and like getting his points there. And I just think that's so unnecessary when you have someone like AD. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand what Westbrook is giving you in terms of scoring of what you already have on the floor. But like, yes, he's a good passer. He's got some defensive capabilities.
I would say he's a great passer. He's led the league.
He's a good rebounder
for his position. He's
a
great passer and a great rebounder.
Yes. Oh, so he's above average in every aspect of the game.
Except for shooting.
Then his shooting,
right? In defense.
Sure. Though I will say like his turnovers can become a problem on occasion.
Yes.
Like on occasion.
His
decision
making can be bad, but I think the idea is that LeBron will have the ball.
Exactly.
But the problem with that is that then you have LeBron with another non-shooter, so then they're going to
Right.
sag off him. And
That's,
We've
LeBron's
seen
got
this
that's
work
exactly what I'm
before.
saying. Like, what is Westbrook giving? Like, he's going to get you a few rebounds, he's get you a few assists, like in the heat of the game. But it's like I feel like that's not what LeBron and AD
Well,
need.
here's the thing: is this maybe the way to look at this? Is it's kind of like it's a lack of confidence in LeBron.
No, it's
Right?
definitely not that. I think they
Well,
have
I mean,
plenty
it's his ability to consistently be the point guard for 82
It's-
games in the playoffs.
it's lack. It's not lack of confidence. It's lack of want to put
Energy,
that on LeBron.
lack of
yeah,
energy.
exactly. They want to.
Okay.
LeBron. I think both LeBron and the training staff and Rob Pelinka and the coaching staff all don't want us to be like, hey, we don't want. It was great, LeBron running the whole show, especially even the AD went down, right? And it was literally everything running around LeBron. We don't want to put that toll on LeBron, is what I'm thinking they're saying. So that was outside of shooting, the number one thing the Lakers needed last year was another playmaker, another guy that could get his own shot, that could set
and
other
Schroeder
people,
obviously
that can
wasn't
set
that
other people
guy.
up. Schroeder could kind of get his own shot, but he wasn't setting other people up at all.
Westbrook can
Yeah.
get his own shot, but he just doesn't make it.
Okay,
He's good around the rim.
Okay,
But that's what I'm saying. He's good around the rim, but you already that's the last thing you need.
But AD doesn't like to play. AD doesn't like to play down there anyway.
Yeah. So
He's
So
and like
all I'm
more
saying
of a
is
mid-post guy, really.
all I want to point out is the season Westbrook was on the Rockets. We started off that season with Clint Capella. By mid-season, Clint Capella was not on the team anymore to
Wait, are you
open up the.
comparing Clint Capella to Anthony Davis?
No, all I'm
That's a
saying is
mistake. That is a mistake.
they traded him to open up the lane more so Westbrook could succeed.
We'll see. Maybe the Westbrook AD pick and roll will be something to see, but
I think the
this-
West AD pick and roll is going to be amazing. It's going to be one of the
Yeah.
most devastating in the league because you're going to have
I
two
think if
guys going straight to the bucket, and AD on occasion has the range just pop out and hit an open jumper. So we've seen this work before with a LeBron team.
Yeah, no, I
AD
know.
is a better Chris Bosh. Westbrook is maybe equal to the late era Dwayne Wade.
Disagree with that.
Yeah,
Completely.
that's
But,
a really bad take.
But Dwayne Wade didn't shoot any threes.
The last thing I want to say about the Lakers, because I know we got to talk about the Rockets, obviously. I actually love what they did in the draft. But so the last thing I want to say is I think if you're going to do this in the Lakers, you're going all in, and you got to flip Horton Tucker for whatever you can get in terms of a guy that can shoot now immediately.
I disagree. What you're missing right here is you can still actually use. I was hoping Buddy Hield was still an option. I think it's definitely not an option because you just not have the assets. You can still use Schroeder as the asset, as a sign and trade, take less and try to get somebody. So that's still, I think, an asset for a sign and trade. He'll get more money. He'll get more years. You find the team that wants to sign him. You pick up something from them, especially if there's a team that he can go to that doesn't really have the cap room. You take back, 5 to 10. They have enough. They have 5. Maybe they have 10, $12 million in cap, but that you take an extra $8 million back. You can do that.
We'll see what Schroeder.
That's the next
market is.
piece.
Yeah. So as the team is constructed right now, okay, let's say they get maybe like a shooter, like they sign another shooter. I kind of want to ask you guys, so what are your expectations now, like for the upcoming season? Are they better or worse than what they were last year? Forgetting injuries. Okay, let's say everyone's healthy, right? Like, where do you expect them to fall, or where do you expect their season to go? Like
Well,
with this,
I'm going to tell you right now, and this has nothing. This has to do more with the last couple years, and has to do with every time LeBron is anywhere. If LeBron's on your team, you expect to win the title, and that's it. LeBron's on your team, you expect to win. So if you're asking me, what are the expectations of this team compared to last year? It's exactly the same. I expect to win the title.
I would say that
Peter?
they're better this year than they were last year, but they're not better than I thought they were last year. Last year, I thought they were better because I thought Kuzma and Schroeder were better than they ended up being. And so now that we have Westbrook, that's better than what Kuzma and Schroeder are, but I don't know if that's better than what I thought we were going to have coming into last year.
I'll tell you right now, the talent level on the team is higher right now than it was,
Yes,
what was it, 10 months ago.
it's definitely higher. It's just it's more of a fit thing.
Exactly. So, but we can probably talk about this for hours and hours, and I'm sure I will with other people.
We probably will. Yeah.
I'm sure I will with other people over the next few weeks. But we can move on to the thing we were expecting to talk about at the top of the hour here today was the draft. I think it was announced a few hours before Cade Cunningham, #1 pick. I think that was kind of predictable in the last upcoming weeks as well, but it was made official. But then there was a mini question, I think, at 2. There was a lot of different options as far as trading or picking someone like Mobley and trying to move him or moving down. Ended up Houston going with Jalen Green. So I do want to get Adam's opinion on what you think. What are your kind of thoughts coming out of the draft for the Houston Rockets?
Yeah. So essentially, like going into it, I would have been happy either way of like whether it was Cade or Jalen. And also I think it's important to call out that like so this is watching the draft and having like a top pick is like something that's totally new for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's and the time that I've closely followed the Rockets, right? It's like they've been going to the playoffs since like 2012, 2013 or something.
You didn't see Yao get drafted?
Yeah. Their last top five pick was Yao Ming in the
#1 overall.
2001 draft, I believe.
3.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm like 10 years
that was
old
LeBron.
there. So
Yeah.
what?
2001 or 2002, I forget which year.
One of the two,
yeah. I think it's around there. Yeah. So obviously it's been a really long time. But going in, right, I would have been happy with either of those two players. And it was interesting just sort of watching the reports come out about how Detroit hadn't really bought in or hadn't fully 100% committed to Cade one way or the other. And it was kind of funny just to see people's takes on that, like thinking they're crazy, like what are you guys doing? But I think obviously those reports coming out just sort of, I think they're just trying to, like you guys said, work in the trade market, seeing what maybe they could trick the Rockets to give up assets to get into the first seed, right? If they want them that bad. But I'm really happy with where we landed and how it all shook out. Like I was really high on Green. I like the fact that he was succeeding already amongst already NBA players in the G League, right? And he was proving his mettle there. He seems to have like a really high motor and like a trait that I value a lot is the confidence level, because like to build your team around somebody, like you don't want them to be afraid of the big moment. So he seems like he has like a lot of confidence in just the way he carries himself. So I'm all in on that pick, and I'm really looking forward just to sort of seeing how he integrates with the rest of our young core, with like Wood and Tate and Kevin Porter Jr., right? So I think like it's really interesting. I mean, it's like they're all like less than what, like 20. They're all less than like 21 or something. So like they're it's really
Wood's got to be older than that.
Wood's about 25. 24.
Sorry.
24 last year.
Sorry.
So I think he's going into his 25-year-old season.
You're right. Yeah, Wood's a little bit older, but still, it's really interesting just to sort of see maybe like how this young core, like what this young core could be capable of. I'm not expecting them to like produce crazy results or anything off the bat, but I'm just like kind of interested to see sort of how, like, because I think those are the 4 most valuable players we have like on the team right now, and so and that's what I think the front office wants to experiment with and see sort of like how they play alongside one another, and just sort of figure out, is this something we can build around or not, or like who's expendable, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see sort of this season on who, if Jalen Green is a franchise player that they can build stuff around, and then how how the team gets shape shifted, after this year to fit that, and whether Wood and Tate and KPJ fit along in that narrative. But I'm really excited. Yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I know, Chris, I know you were big on Mobley. So I would love to hear like if you thought the Rockets should have gone his way or not.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I definitely thought Mobley. From just preseason, to be honest, I had not seen Green too much from this last year. I did see Cade a lot, and I saw Mobley a lot, and I had Mobley, in my opinion, as the number one draft pick. So I would have taken him regardless. And I think that those top three teams, Cleveland, Houston, and Detroit, kind of were in a point where it doesn't really matter. Like fit doesn't really matter. Just pick the best. Who do you think is going to be the best player? Pick that guy. Figure it out as you go. Right. I think that would be the strategy for any of those teams. So I would have gone Mobley on that pick for sure. And the reason is what I've seen over the last few years, I think, because I think from maybe like 7, 8 years ago, the number one team was the what's it called? The Golden State Warriors, right? And then the other team was whoever LeBron was on. Still kind of almost whoever LeBron is. The Warriors aren't what they used to be. And they were so deadly. And what was most important was having guys that could play defense, having those swing I wouldn't say 3-and-D, but just defensive athletic wings that can go ahead and play. Yeah, two-way ideally would be, those are the number ones. That's why you saw Kawhi Leonard beat them. That was really valuable. You saw LeBron beat them. That's really valuable. That was the most important thing. I think what you're seeing now in the last couple years, and I think what's going to be the most important going forward, is similar to that, but different. But you want a big man that can switch on the perimeter and that can still protect the rim, but doesn't get played off the floor at the end of the game, right? So it's not necessarily Rudy Gobert, but it's Giannis, it's DeAndre Ayton, it's Anthony Davis, right? These 7-foot guys that don't get played off the floor. And that's what Mobley looked like to me, right? It's Chris Bosh from Brian. That's the comp that he gets the most, I think, right now. And that's the most, and I can see him being a hub offensively because I saw him play at UCLA and then run offense through, and he's skilled. He has soft touch, I thought. Now Cade could make me look stupid because Cade does look awesome as far as a distributor. He's a good passer, and I think ultimately that kind of a player might have a higher ceiling. But I think the most valuable thing in basketball going forward is going to be the big man that can play awesome defense and still and great or really good offense, and even on the guys that are the smaller guards, even on your switched on to a Damian Lillard or switched on to a James Harden, they can stay in front of the guy and make it at least difficult. And it's not that, it's not a death sentence when you have, like what you were saying, you have Clint Capella trying to guard Steph Curry at the end of a possession, right? So I think that's why I would have gone with that pick.
Peter, what about you? Like, do you agree with the draft order and how that played out in terms of the skill level of the prospects?
When I saw the scouting report, I guess, or some clips of Jalen Green, I didn't really see it, to be honest. I guess I see why people think he would be good, but he's just, for a guard, I want to see more playmaking out of him, I guess. And I didn't see a great deal of vision. He's pretty good at getting into the rim, obviously. He's athletic when he's in he's great. It seems like he's really good in transition, but most guys who are 20 and are super athletic are good in transition. I agree with Chris's general analysis of Mobley being probably the more prototype player that you'd want. I actually would have leaned toward Jalen Suggs. I know that's weird, but I just feel like he's more of the like he's you're with the Rockets. You're basically building from scratch. You've, in my opinion, you have no one on your roster that's going to be like on
Right.
your team when you're contending again.
Right.
And so like I just want someone who I know is like going to have a good attitude and like going to reinstitute a culture where it's like professional and stuff like that. And so like I was really impressed with Suggs, especially in like that UCLA game, which is incredible. Like the way he was like flying around and doing everything. And maybe Green will end up doing that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just my aversion to this whole like G League Ignite thing. Like I don't know. It's like a weird path. I've never seen anyone come from the G League Ignite, light it up exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have leaned towards Mobley or Suggs there, and I was shocked that Suggs went 5th. I couldn't believe that he fell past Toronto.
He seemed kind of he didn't seem that upset by it. Like maybe he didn't want to go to Toronto.
No, I think he was upset, but he's just like, that's what I'm saying. He's just a good guy, Like I just like his vibes.
Yeah.
And if I'm drafting someone, I want someone to like be the face of my franchise. And like I don't know, I get weird vibes from Jalen Green. I can't explain it.
Yeah. To play a little devil's advocate on that point, I actually agree with you as far as Suggs, and I loved Suggs even though I was upset. I watching that UCLA game, I was upset afterwards, but I definitely respected the hell out of how he played the game.
Yeah.
So I loved him, but I will make the point that playing in the G League, I think, is a difference than playing in college basketball. You're playing against other. It's like when you got Luka Doncic coming out of a professional league a couple years ago. It's grown guys that are bigger, stronger, and not. There's no games where you're playing against a 17-year-old 157-pound dude.
Right.
That's where you score 45. So I think there is a difference. So being able to score on that level that Jalen Green does, I think kind of proves that he will be a good scorer.
Yeah. Well,
I agree with the whole defense and the playmaking. That's yet to be determined. And I think Suggs is kind of the opposite, right? He's going to be a hustle guy. I think your floor on a Suggs is, funny enough, a guy that he could have been teammates with, which is like a Fred VanVleet. And I think like that's his floor. And that's really the floor on someone like Jalen Green, I feel, is someone that shares the last name with, is someone like a Gerald Green, right?
That's what I was thinking too.
Crazy athletic. And
blowing out the cupcake, but he can't play in the NBA.
Yeah.
And Gerald Green, Adam, because he played on the Rockets.
Oh yeah, he's a hometown hero. He's Houston born and raised, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
but I want to pick up on something you just said, because it's like the scorer thing. They compare him to like Levine, and I go, that's not good. I don't want to have that be my comparison.
I mean, I think that's a good comparison. I think that's probably what you were getting for it, or what he kind of might end up being. But exactly, if you got the 3 pick or the second pick, and the comp is the 2 guys you're talking about, is like I could have Zach LaVine or Chris Bosh. I'm going for Chris Bosh, right? And those are both kind of middle level, right? Because I think Mobley could, best case scenario, turn into Kevin Garnett, right? Defensive, offensive guy. But maybe a little lower, maybe not Chris Bosh, because Chris Bosh is probably a future Hall of Famer. But that's his, around there is most likely, because he has got that pedigree, and so does Jalen Green. He's got that pedigree. So being a good scorer is for sure. It's just that it's tough spending the number 2 pick on a guy that has a floor like that. And that's that. I mean, I guess it's a risk aversion thing, because I've seen him being compared to Kobe Bryant and Tracy McGrady.
I don't know about that one.
Right.
You're always gonna have reservations about that.
Quick aside.
Was great, man.
Quick aside on the broadcast, because we were watching and we were texting about this. I had to turn off the sound at one point, because the comparisons these people make sometimes, when even I'm the biggest Mobley guy, said he should be picked number 1, but he got compared to Bill Russell. Thank God, I forget
who the look like Bill Russell though.
Thank God. Thank God they I think it was Kendrick Perkins that did that comparison. Thank God someone called them out. So it's like, oh wow. Well, I guess Cleveland's gonna be really happy because they got 11 titles coming in the next 13 years. So, because
Can we pivot though? Because what I'm really excited about with the Rockets is Sengun. I'm stoked that they made that trade.
Yeah,
that he's a steal.
So I would love to hear more about your thoughts, because what's really interesting is obviously, so the Rockets already had 3 first-round picks, at the beginning of the night with the 2nd and 23rd and 24th pick. But the surprise came in where they traded with the Thunder for the 16th pick, and we gave up 2 future first-round picks. Now, when I say that, though, they were actually probably like the worst valued future first round picks that we had in our arsenal. Like, I looked them up, and like they were heavily lottery protected and stuff. And so I do think it was I think it was an interesting move for sure. But like, I don't know much about this player though. So Peter, like, why are you so excited about him?
Because he's this guy. First of all, he's 18, so that's good. He played in Turkey in a good professional league. I think it's considered like the 3rd best league after the Euro league that Luka came from, obviously the NBA. And he has an incredibly good low post game, like drop step, spin move. Like if he's anywhere in the paint, he's like, and they had to double team him. He's 18 and he's double team. He's passing out of double teams. He won the MVP of the league. His knock is obviously going to be his defense, but I saw some like hustle. Like I talk about Jalen Suggs like being like a hustle guy and stuff. He was like trying on defense. Like, it wasn't like he was just a potted plant. Like, he's trying to like recover and get chased down blocks and stuff. And I just feel like his offensive, I've never seen such a polished post game. And I guess maybe it's just because like the NBA is kind of becoming homogenized to me, where it's like everyone's drive, kick, pick and roll. And to see a guy that can like do that with the low post, I'm like just so excited. And I actually think he fits well with Wood, because Wood can step out. So I'm like really like, if Green can be like what he's supposed to be, I think they could actually like be fun next year, if not win games as much,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have some opinions on this on Sengun too, because I have seen a little bit of him, but we're gonna push this to a part 2 right here in a second. So hold for commercial sponsorships, and we'll talk in a second. All right, we're back with my take on Sengun here, but I agree with what you were saying, Peter. As far as what he looked like in the tapes and all that kind of stuff, the guy looks awesome in the post and stuff. Another draft comp that they made, what I thought was a little blasphemous again, because he always goes ahead. They said Jokic, and I'm like, come on. And then
why do you have to do that? Why do you have to take my excitement and just make it seem impossible?
No, I only brought it up because I think they made right after that a pretty good like high case scenario for him, which is current bonus as a thing. And I really like that as a again, offensive, and that the fact that they ended up getting them makes the not picking Mobley thing a little bit, less, terrible for their future, their franchise, man. I still would have rather had Mobley and then get, again, if you're making trade for Sengun too, and you have all of them and you figure it out, you're in a point where you just drive the best player available, right? It's like when back to Denver, there was a time when Denver had Jusuf Nurkic and Nikola Jokic, and both were centers and both were really good prospects. And you're like, oh, you can't play them both. It was like, well, it worked out because one of them turned out to be an MVP, and you traded the other one, right? So I think they're in that role. I love the idea of having someone like Sengun in the post, and then you can play him with Wood on the perimeter, like you were saying. So I think the team's actually being constructed pretty well as far as all that.
Well, Chris, let me ask you something about Sengun.
Yeah.
You list every player in the NBA who has a better post game than Sengun right now.
It wouldn't be as long as you would think. There's probably more than you would think, right? I would say like guys like Booker probably have a better post game than him, but there's skilled guards that have post game. But
I guess
if you're gonna just say straight big men, it's pretty small. It's Embiid, it's Davis, it's Jokic, and we're gonna figure out maybe a couple more, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you this much. maybe 2 years ago, I don't even think Giannis had a better post game than him.
You're right. I don't think he had it 2 months ago.
Yeah. So no, I think Sengun was a steal for sure, or not a steal, but a great pickup. The thing I just looking at his ESPN projections here, what I didn't realize is I thought he was actually taller. It says he's only 6'9" here. I thought he was like more 6'11", closer to 7.
Yeah.
So that worries me a little bit, but again, at this point you're just trying to.
Well, he's
I like
only 18 too, so he
That's
could grow.
true. He could grow an inch or two. I do like I like the idea of drafting upside. Going foreign on some of these late lottery, early teens or late teens picks. I think is good. This is where you kind of find those hidden gems that weren't scouted as much, that weren't in the college system, AAU all the time. It's like prime position to find guys like that. So I think it's a great pickup for Houston. I think they'll be a fun team. They'll be a fun team to watch. They're going to be a young team, as long as Eric Gordon doesn't get too many too many minutes.
Don't wanna worry about that.
I think they're trying to get rid of him as fast as possible.
Sign and trade for Schroeder, Eric Gordon.
No one wants Schroeder. Although he does kind of fit on your team.
Yeah, and Eric Gordon would be a great shooter on the Lakers. I think we just came up with the deal.
Schroeder would hate that, but yeah.
Everyone's trying to put former Pelicans with AD again. Got Healed back with AD and Gordon back with AD.
Another big another little nip, or what's it called, tidbit on the whole AD is apparently AD and Westbrook are like best friends. So they're really tight off the court. So that's I think another positive for the trade.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, I'm incredibly dubious about that. But okay.
I heard it reported by unbiased journalist John Ireland today.
Hey, can we talk about the fact, so like behind the scenes stuff? So like Shams, I think, beat Woj to the Westbrook trade.
Yes.
He broke it ahead of Woj.
Yeah, and then
Tough break for Woj.
I always wonder is Woj report, because I did see Woj, but Shams has scooped Woj a bunch of times in the past. He's done it.
Woj was too focused on the draft, man. He was too focused on.
Well, he was on that Hield trade, but then it was like, nope.
Yeah. So I'm curious though. I feel like he probably got it reported from his own unique sources too, because he doesn't. When he does report it a little bit later, he doesn't say per Shams Charania on.
No, yeah, I think he gets it
thing.
reported separately too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just he's not as fast on the phone, maybe. But
those youthful fingers of Shams.
Other thing I know is younger, got the young fingers. The other thing I noticed is that they didn't do any interviews after Cade Cunningham the whole draft.
Is that right? They did a Malika Andrews interview with Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, on the couch set. Yeah.
Cade Cunningham, but then after that they weren't interviewing the draft people that were drafted.
No, I mean they interviewed Jalen too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it seemed like they normally interview like almost every pick, but they definitely were not interviewing.
You know what? They might have. You might have to go online to watch them. Maybe it wasn't part of the broadcast, but they were. It's still like
ESPN2 or something. The Ocho.
Maybe, but I definitely saw them interview Jalen on the same couch that they did Cade. I just saw it online though. I didn't see it.
Yeah. So on the main broadcast, I guess they went away from them.
Oh.
Something I noticed.
I think they interviewed everyone. It's just different feeds. Said how they did the NFL draft. I think they had multiple feeds on different networks as well.
So what's really interesting, I'm just sort of looking at, hey, here's like the projected as of now, like Rockets lineup before obviously, free agency or anything like that. So, but the starting five right now is Wall, KPJ, Green, Tate, and Wood, which is interesting because because you kind of forget that Wall is still on the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually would forget that Wall's on the team. I'd make a point of doing that.
I'm kind of like curious. It's so funny because like obviously I don't expect him to be there, but I'm trying to think about how would that five like play. It would.
So I think they're gonna have to sign a point guard to like steady this whole thing. And so whoever that veteran point guard is, and then they're going to start Green, Tate, Wood, and Sengun, be my guess.
I doubt Sengun
You
starts.
think KPJ comes off the bench?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they start Wood. Maybe you're right, Chris. Maybe they start KPJ instead of Sengun.
I don't think. I think you're gonna have a veteran get that starting spot. It's
Really?
gonna
Yeah,
be-
I think Porter will be. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think Porter or Sengun start.
I'm not a Porter guy. Just
And
for the
they still
record.
have guys to pick up. He said, speaking of point guards, we can do one last little quick thing here because I was thinking about the for the Rockets. I don't know if they have. I'm not sure how much salary cap room they have. But I personally would maybe go after a Lonzo Ball as a player. I think he's criminally underrated right now. As a
Pelicans are
player.
keeping him.
I think. Well, yeah, I think the Pelicans should keep him, but
That's
the
why
way
they made that trade, I think, so they could re-sign him.
Yeah, possibly. So if they can go something like that, I think would be a good fit. But we can move on to a few other things. Anything else in the draft outside of the top, 3 picks that we've talked about already stand out to either of you guys?
I just want to quickly hit that. I thought the Magic had their best draft of all time.
Jalen Suggs at 5 might be a steal.
Oh, we lost
No,
Peter.
I think we lost Peter. So on that note, he's dropped the mic and left. But
Except for the draft where they took Shaq.
Oh god, he's back.
Oh, there we go. And he jumped back
Am I
into the
back or
Shaq
no?
comment.
Oh yeah, so
yeah, you're back.
best drafts in Shaq.
Best draft since Shaq is what
Since
I heard.
Shaq, wow, mad disrespect on Penny Hardaway right there. Mad disrespect.
Anyway, I like
on-
most
and
better
for
fronts.
mad.
I was trying to disrespect.
Anthony Hardaway.
I was trying to disrespect Dwight Howard. I forgot about Penny.
So yeah, outside of that, not too much. I think the other big thing that jumped to me was Davion Mitchell going at 9 to Sacramento, which is really, really surprising because everything I had read and leading up to that had me thinking he was going in like the early teens. People were putting him on the 2nd pick to Golden State. A lot of times I would see him around there. Again, this guy's, it's a really tough defender, and shown that he can win already, right? Very much in the Jalen Suggs kind of mold as well.
I think he's too undersized though, and shooting isn't as good.
So I was surprised that he went that way, but I kind of, and I know this is gonna look so dumb and it sounds so dumb. As I said, I know it's a mistake. I like the way Sacramento's drafted the last couple of years. I'm a big time Tyrese Halliburton fan. I like him, and I like bringing in backcourt mate of Davion Mitchell on that. I actually think they should probably trade Fox now at this point because I love that backcourt of those 2 guys. I think Peter froze on us again.
Yeah. So Chris, that's Luke Walton's fault. Am I back?
You're somewhat back. I heard you say
come
something
and
about Luke
go.
Walton, though. What's your?
I was
Luke
gonna
Walton
say.
take?
I was gonna say that what you're trying to say is that if the Kings are bad this year, it's Luke Walton's fault because they draft so well. So it must be on Luke Walton.
Well, I think I would not say that.
Yeah.
I would not say that. I still don't think they have a really good team. I just think they've gotten 2 decent drafts in a row. So, but I mean, Bagley's still kind of a mess. Buddy Hield doesn't want to be there. So I still don't think they're going to be a playoff team. If they can flip Buddy Hield maybe into a decent, wing big guy, they have, a chance at the playing game. So I think there's a little, at least the draft was positive momentum for them.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much all. The only other big thing, I think a lot of other stuff kind of went to form, other than Suggs slipping a little and Mitchell. I guess along with the Suggs things, the Scotty Barnes jump as well. But outside of the first round, the draft is actually, I think, So yeah, it's still going, by the way. So we're about halfway through the second round.
Okay.
But
I
outside of-
wanted to- Go ahead, Adam.
Sorry, I just want to say that like it was so sweet for that the Rockets kept their pick and kept the Thunder out of the top 4. Like that was a huge win in itself. And if Jalen Green ends up being anything I hope him to be, then that's just like gravy.
Well,
I
he's
just
going to
wanted
be
say
an
that.
asset no matter what. So what I wanted to talk about, one thing I want to talk about before we go is, did you guys hear about this Ben Simmons trade offer that was made to the Warriors?
So yeah, well, first of all, it's all I've been reading is Maury's expectations is a Harden level bundle of assets.
Okay, yeah. So let me like flesh that out a little bit. So here's
Yeah.
the offer that they made the Warriors, and I'll just preface it by saying the Warriors responded with a quick no, is what the report said.
Right.
So Warriors in this scenario would get Ben Simmons. They would be giving up Andrew Wiggins. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 7th pick, the 14th pick, and also 2 future first-round picks. So essentially better, in my opinion, than the James Harden haul. I'd rather have that than I got for James Harden. Insane offer that was made.
How like do you feel like Maury's losing a step here? Is he just like so desperate right now to like get to offload Ben Simmons? Because like how their series ended and the comments that were made, like
Yeah.
he is in such a bad spot now with Ben Simmons right now. It's crazy.
It's horrible. And the funny thing is the other part of the report said that they really want to do the Ben Simmons trade tonight. And my reaction was, how is that different than any other night? Anyway, yeah. Totally. I think Morey is desperate and realizing that maybe he hitched his wagon to the wrong star.
Yeah, I think he's having a little bit of buyer's remorse, or not, or I guess he didn't pull the trigger on that Harden trade when he had the chance, probably.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think the Tillman Fertitta just said no way.
You think?
Yeah, I could see that. That trade is kind of ridiculous.
But like, oh yeah, it's so funny because like just seeing all those reports is so much irony in that whole, you know what I mean? There's just so much irony in that whole thing. Just like asking for a James Harden level haul when you yourself turned down the Harden trade to get rid of this guy like 8 months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I do think that Morey, part of, you say he's losing it, but part of the thing is him, and same with how's the dude from the OKC.
Presti.
Yeah, Presti. They want, both of those guys are the guys that they want to win every trade, right? And then ultimately the funny thing is the last few years, what we've seen, the teams that lose the trade have won titles, right? The team that paid 200 cents on the dollar for Anthony Davis paid 150 cents on the dollar for Drew Holiday, ended up winning.
Yeah.
So you can't be, I think, held up or can't, be so obsessed with winning the trade. You gotta be more obsessed with, does this make my team better? Right.
Winning the championship is what you're saying.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
I will say I've been really pleased and impressed with Raphael Stone's just like moves and things he's done thus far, like as GM. Like it's just because he was Morey's underling, right, for a while, and like I haven't seen Stone do anything completely what I feel like is off base. You know what I'm saying?
You wouldn't consider trading for Victor Oladipo to be off base. He's pretty worthless. Traded him.
All right, you got me there. It's probably the worst part. Yeah.
They should have taken LeVert and Allen, but whatever.
I'll give him a solid B so far.
Sengun makes it a B plus.
Sengun makes, I'll give him that. Sengun makes it a B plus. So, like I said, I think they'll be a fun team to watch. They seem like the who's the team I said was going to be a fun team to watch last year? It was the like Hawks, not last year, but like 3 years ago, like the Hawks from like 3 years ago. Right when the year they got Trae Young, right? That's what they kind of remind me of. And ideally, in 3 years, they're in the conference finals, as long as they move to the East.
They could get realigned.
Yeah, if we expand to teams
Yeah.
in Vegas and Seattle,
Yeah, that would
then,
make sense.
then you're gonna have to shift a couple teams to the east. Those would be
Yeah,
both
the
Western
random-
Conference teams.
No, I feel like New Orleans should move first, right?
Yeah, exactly.
New Orleans
Too,
and
though.
Houston.
New Orleans and Houston.
There you go.
It's gonna be tough though because they like to keep those Texas teams.
No, it's
together.
Memphis. It's Memphis.
do.
Yeah,
Memphis.
it'd
makes
be
more
it'd be
sense.
Memphis and New Orleans. So yeah,
I always
You
felt
guys
like
won't make the
Minnesota
conference.
should have been East.
They wouldn't break up the Texas
Yeah.
trio. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
well.
Too
And
bad for you guys.
All right, I got another strategy for you guys. You just gotta get the second pick 3 years in a row. Take players all those years, and then trade them for Anthony Davis or equal value.
Yeah, just trade him for someone who's already in the back half of his career. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Now,
You didn't
I'm
even
on
like
that-
the front half of his career, though. To be fair.
What'd you say?
All right, were you talking about LeBron or Westbrook?
I was talking about AD.
He's 27. He's younger than us. Am I on the back half of my career?
I know. I was mostly kidding.
Oh, I
but-
am solidly.
Oh my God.
I am solidly in the front half of my basketball career right now.
I was just getting started. Shit.
Yeah, I think I'll hit my prime next year. So, but on that note, I think we covered everything we needed to today. Any closing thoughts from Peter or Adam?
No, I mean, I'm just gonna say, I think we've echoed this, but I'm looking forward to just watching the team play and just sort of see how Green performs on the court. Especially with the young core we already have there. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the season. Looking forward to watching some basketball.
And I cannot wait to bet on the Lakers to win the title. Their odds have already dropped from plus 600 to plus 450 in the last 5 hours. So better go drive to Vegas right now so I get that bet in.
Sounds good.
All right, peace out, guys.
See ya.
Bye.